Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to Mark A, Nicholas M, and Michael V. Thank you for using my Tesla referral link, and congratulations on your new Teslas. Before we get too far removed, I did want to acknowledge Matt Smith from Rebellionaire, as over the past year, he has been the analyst with the smallest error rate when it comes to Tesla EPS estimates. So between Matt Smith, The Street Consensus, Gary Black, James Catt, Troy Teslike, Peggy, and James Stevenson, for the past year, for overall EPS estimates, Matt Smith has been the best analyst. So Matt, if you see this, a job very well done. I know both you and Bradford work very hard over there at Rebellionaire, so congrats on that achievement. It took a couple days, but finally, people from the Tesla team started talking about what the battery team pulled off on the cathode side when it comes to the DBE process. As we talked about on Thursday, we got more official confirmation that this process, the mixing and the slurry, all of the massive coating and drying facilities removed, solvent recovery removed, compression removed. Elon said making the dry electrode process work at scale, which is a major breakthrough in lithium battery production tech, was incredibly difficult. So this is not just some pilot program, but it is indeed at scale. I'll be honest, I was really hoping for confirmation that Tesla having the lowest cost per kilowatt hour cell when it comes to the 4680 compared to any supplier that Tesla can get comparable cells from. My expectation was that achievement was before cracking DBE on the cathode side. And I said in this post, the breakthrough of solving DBE for the cathode will drive costs down even further. And yes, Elon did share that post. So I think I made my point fairly loudly on Thursday, but truly I could not be more pleased with this breakthrough. And the timing of this is so serendipitous, right ahead of Semi and Cybercab scaling, both of which will use the 4680 cell. And don't forget, this is also as Tesla is beginning to scale its own in-house LFP production in Nevada. So we don't have confirmation yet, but I'm assuming that sometime down the line, maybe Tesla will use this DBE process for LFP cells as well. And as if we needed a cherry on top, Bon Eggleston from Tesla said, getting dry electrode tech to scale is just the beginning. So what Bon means here is that Tesla now has a new baseline where they can focus on enhancing the cells without being bottlenecked by all of those production challenges that come with the wet process. And not only that, but all of the challenges that Tesla faced with scaling the DBE, lower yields, higher costs, material damage. Those challenges also seem to have been overcome. So what iterative improvements could Tesla have from here? Silicon doping in the anode, shifting to higher nickel or manganese-rich cathodes, and again, incorporating LFP chemistry into the mix. And remember, just because Tesla's cell and pack costs will come down even further because of this, that does not mean that the cost of Tesla's cars will come down or that the range will go up. Now, it certainly might, but Tesla could choose to earn higher margins or choose to use fewer cells for the same amount of range. But Tesla having the flexibility to pivot however it sees fit is a great place to be. So I was just recording for about a half an hour, and effectively now everything I said is a moot point. That's because officially today, SpaceX put out a new press release saying that xAI has joined SpaceX. So yes, the two companies have officially merged. SpaceX has acquired xAI to form the most ambitious vertically integrated innovation engine on and off Earth, with AI, rockets, space-based internet, direct-to-mobile device communications, and the world's foremost real-time information and free speech platform. This marks not just the next chapter, but the next book in SpaceX and xAI's mission, scaling to make a sentient sun to understand the universe and to extend the light of consciousness to the stars. Current advances in AI are dependent on large terrestrial data centers, which require immense amounts of power and cooling. Global electricity demand for AI simply cannot be met with terrestrial solutions, even in the near term, without imposing hardship on communities and the environment. In the long term, space-based AI is obviously the only way to scale. To harness even a millionth of our sun's energy would require over 1 million times more energy than our civilization currently uses. The only logical solution, therefore, is to transport these resource-intensive efforts to a location with vast power and space. I mean, space is called space for a reason. By directly harnessing near constant solar power with little operating or maintenance costs, these satellites will transform our ability to scale compute. It's always sunny in space. Launching a constellation of 1,000,000 satellites that operate as orbital data centers is a first step toward becoming a Kardashev 2 level civilization, one that can harness the sun's full power while supporting AI-driven applications for billions of people today and ensuring humanity's multi-planetary future. Even last year, the most prolific year in history in terms of the number of orbital launches, only about 3,000 tons of payload was launched to orbit. That primarily consisted of Starlink satellites carried by our Falcon rocket. This year, Starship will begin delivering the much more powerful V3 Starlink satellites to orbit, with each launch adding more than 20 times the capacity to the constellation as the current Falcon launches of the V2 Starlink satellites. Starship will also launch the next gen of direct-to-mobile satellites, which will deliver full cellular coverage everywhere on Earth. The basic math is that launching 1,000,000 tons per year of satellites generating 100 kilowatts of compute power per ton would add 100 gigawatts of AI compute capacity annually, with no ongoing operational or maintenance needs. Ultimately, there is a path to launching 1 terawatt per year from Earth. My estimate is that within 2 to 3 years, the lowest cost way to generate AI compute will be in space. This cost efficiency alone will enable innovative companies to forge ahead in training their AI models and processing data at unprecedented speeds and scales, accelerating breakthroughs in our understanding of physics and invention of technologies to benefit humanity. While launching AI satellites from Earth is the immediate focus, Starship's capabilities will also enable operations on other worlds. Starship will be capable of landing massive amounts of cargo on the moon. Once there, it'll be possible to establish a permanent presence for scientific and manufacturing pursuits. Factories on the moon can take advantage of lunar resources to manufacture satellites and deploy them further into space. By using an electromagnetic mass driver in lunar manufacturing, it's possible to put 500 to 1,000 terawatts per year of AI satellites into deep space, meaningfully ascend the Kardashev scale, and harness a non-trivial percentage of the sun's power. The capabilities we unlock by making space-based data centers a reality will fund and enable the self-growing bases on the moon, an entire civilization on Mars, and ultimately expansion to the universe. Thank you for everything you have done and will do for the light cone of consciousness. Ad Astra, Elon. So yes, my fellow Tesla investor, this means we do now own a portion of xAI, and SpaceX. And something tells me this is only the beginning. This acquisition gives the combined company a valuation of $1.25 trillion, which was announced to employees in a memo on Monday. The combined company is expected to price the shares at $526.59 each. And here you go, the firm is still expecting to hold an IPO offering later this year. So that right there is a crucial line, because many people out there are talking about the potential of a reverse merger between SpaceX AI and Tesla. But the reporting for now is that this new entity, SpaceX AI, I'm going to call it, is still going to go the route of traditional IPO. And of course, things are very fluid right now, but to me, that would mean any merger of SpaceX AI and Tesla might not happen until after SpaceX AI IPOs. Now, just because SpaceX AI is apparently still planning to go the traditional IPO route, that does not mean that there's no way for Elon to still give Tesla investors some form of early access. But it would mean it's not going to be in the form of a reverse merger. Because obviously you wouldn't take a private company, SpaceX AI, public through a reverse merger where Tesla is the surviving entity that's already public through another IPO. As a Tesla investor that wants to own SpaceX before the IPO, there's no need to panic. There are still viable avenues for Elon to pull that off. One option would be a direct share program. SpaceX could allocate a certain portion of IPO shares and reserve those for confirmed Tesla shareholders. There's also precedent. Companies like Airbnb and Snowflake have done things very similar for their hosts or customers. Now, it would likely need to be for Tesla investors that have owned Tesla stock for some long-term period of time, maybe at least 1 year, because if not, you would just have plenty of people buying Tesla stock now just so they could have early access. And then, if you're eligible, you would get priority access to those IPO shares, potentially at a discounted price. Of course, we would still expect share limitations. I would imagine that the demand is going to exceed whatever the supply is. But again, not all Tesla shareholders are likely to qualify for something like that. Or SpaceX could do something like a share exchange that in practice would be kind of like offering a dividend. SpaceX could again take a limited number of shares and distribute those pre-IPO shares as a special dividend to Tesla owners. For example, SpaceX could convert part of Tesla's xAI stake into SpaceX shares and then distribute them pro rata to Tesla owners. Now, personally, I think the second option would be a lot more complex and a bit less likely, but it's certainly not off the table. But my main point for now, just because the reporting is that SpaceX AI is going to IPO via the traditional route, does not have to mean that the door's been shut on Tesla shareholders getting early access. Also, over the weekend, we learned that SpaceX is requesting permission to launch as many as 1 million satellites into Earth's orbit for, you guessed it, data centers in space. This path would be a lower cost and more environmentally friendly alternative to land-based data centers. Instead of requiring cooling systems that use large volumes of water like those on land, the network in space would rely on radiative cooling that occurs in space, which allows for dissipation of heat. It would also reduce the need to rely on batteries since it would acquire energy from the sun. And don't forget what Elon said recently, that solar panels in space will be 5 times more effective. That in terms of energy output per panel, because in space it's always sunny, there's no day and night, there's no weather, no seasons, and you get about 30% more power because there's no atmospheric attenuation, basically meaning the atmosphere is limiting what the solar panels can get here on Earth. Then Elon being Elon responded to this saying, "I thought we would start small and work our way up." He said, "Oops, did I say 1 million? I meant to say 1 billion. But I will say this, even if a SpaceX AI and Tesla merger does not happen this year, Tesla will almost certainly continue to deepen its ties with this new entity. All someone needs to do is look at what Tesla is doing now with solar and AI hardware, the $2 billion investment into xAI, Optimus being needed to colonize Mars, Grok powering Optimus and running in Teslas, and so on. So we all need to get on board with the seismic shifts taking place in Tesla and adjacent lands right now. So Elon is going to rip down all barriers and look at this from first principles. What's the fastest way to speed run this whole thing and to raise the most capital? The money that is required to fund some of the numbers Elon is throwing around is easily into the trillions. So whatever Elon and his team figure out is most likely what's going to happen. Elon said 100 gigawatts per year of solar-powered AI satellites requires 100 gigawatts per year of AI computers. So we don't even need breadcrumbs anymore. It's all out in the open. Tesla will be directly involved with all of this, not just with solar, but with silicon hardware as well. And 100 gigawatts per year is likely going to require a Tesla terafab. And we know Tesla is considering raising capital as well. So it's impossible to deny the synergies amongst these companies. However, there are certainly some downsides that I think many are overlooking. We will cross that bridge if and when the time comes, but at least for today, it's still a bit too early. So there's still a world where SpaceX AI changes course, doesn't IPO, and does reverse merge with Tesla. I'm assuming that talks are still ongoing with Tesla to see what the best path is. But for now, the most likely outcome is a SpaceX AI IPO later this year with preferential access for long-term Tesla investors. And then post-IPO, once valuations settle and Tesla and SpaceX AI grow into their respective valuations, a mega merger could still certainly happen down the line. And no matter what, the convergence will continue. And then Elon laid it out. AI5 and AI6 will be fine for space at the low gigawatt per year scale. AI7 and Dojo 3 for over 10 gigawatts per year, and then AI8 and Elon meant Dojo 4 for over 100 gigawatts per year. So there you have it. Starting with AI5, the chip that will be in mass production toward the end of next year, that will be capable of being used for these space-based data centers in some capacity. And Tesla, the best company in the world right now for inference compute, who's also planning to use its next-gen inference chips, not only for inference, but as part of the training stack as well, will be able to reach unprecedented levels of scale because they'll go beyond just use on Earth. And just a little cherry on top, over the weekend, people were talking about SpaceX making a phone. Somebody mentioned a Starlink phone, to which Elon said it's not out of the question at some point. It would be a very different device than current phones, optimized purely for running max max performance per watt neural nets. Continuing with the theme of seismic shifts, we need to get on board with Tesla Solar and all of the changes it's currently making. We know the new solar panel and the new mounting system is now paired with Tesla's inverter, Powerwall, EV charging, and cars, creating an all-Tesla residential solar offering for the first time. These new modules, being assembled in New York, represent a significant shift toward a proprietary integrated ecosystem designed to solve the common rooftop challenges of shading, aesthetic clutter, and installation friction. A Tesla Energy rep said this panel completes the full package of the residential energy system. It's based on our long history of innovation and engineering when it comes to solar. Giga New York is the same place where Tesla makes solar roof components, which inspired the design of the new panel. That factory is currently scaling to an initial capacity of over 300 megawatts per year, which, yes, in the grand scheme of things is not massive, but let's not forget that this program is effectively being resurrected from zero. And long-term, the plan for Tesla is 100 gigawatts per year. There's some context for you. This year, Tesla's capacity won't even be at half of 1 gigawatt per year, but the scaling is clearly underway. But here's the part I think most people are overlooking. With the new panel, Tesla has a new implementation of 18 independent power zones. Standard residential modules usually have 3 bypass diodes, creating 6 distinct zones, which means in those setups, a single shadow from a chimney or a vent can effectively shut down large swaths of a string's production. Tesla's design essentially triples the granularity of the module. So for Tesla's implementation, if 1 pixel, if you will, is shaded, the remaining 17 continue to harvest energy at near peak efficiency. Meaning in the residential market, this 18-zone layout will be unique to Tesla. And further, the TSP modules are designed to pair specifically with Tesla's solar inverter and Powerwall 3. And now you don't have to buy all of these together, but they're meant to work together. And TSP just stands for Tesla Solar Panel. While Tesla's direct installation business leads the rollout, the package is available to Tesla's network of over 1,000 certified installers. The installer-first approach is further evidenced by the new Tesla panel mount. The new rail-less mounting system made of black anodized aluminum alloy uses the module frame itself as the structural rail. So by eliminating traditional rails and visible clamps, Tesla said the system is 33% faster to install. The mount sits closer to the roof and is enhanced by aesthetic front and side skirts, maintaining the minimalist look Tesla consumers expect. And the new Tesla solar panels are now available nationwide. Tesla said, "We're working more closely with utilities than ever to ensure that these assets participate in VPPs and support the grid, and opening up new value streams both for utilities and consumers." But here's the piece people are missing. In the US, we're producing less than about 4 gigawatts worth of silicon solar cells each year. Cells are the parts inside the panels that actually do the work of turning sunlight into electricity. And then for the US as a whole, for actual panels, the modules, it's about 50 gigawatts per year in actual production. But part of the reason solar production in the US has been so slow is because of a web of patents. The IP landscape is a complete mess, and nearly all of it is centered around a new type of solar cell technology called N-type. All you really need to know, older silicon-style cells are mostly P-type, which were solid but have hit their efficiency limits. And these N-type cells are more efficient, they last longer, and perform better in the heat and in shade. China has aggressively moved to N-type cells. It's about 75% of their production now, which allows them to make cheaper, higher power panels at massive scale. But these N-type cells have a variety of different patents owned by different companies in the US. There are some active lawsuits in US courts that are accusing one another of infringing on each other's patents. And what that means is there's plenty of uncertainty. Any company looking to build an N-type factory is going to have to worry if they're going to be sued in the future for patent infringement. But here's the thing, Tesla's approach at Giga New York is different. Tesla is building a completely unique panel design, taking learnings from the Tesla solar roof, letting those trickle down to these new TSPs, and that custom 18 power zone setup, which is going to avoid relying on this crowded N-type IP scene. So once again, Tesla's vertical integration and proprietary design is going to help it steer clear of a lot of those headaches. So while Tesla's solar scale may still be small as of today and even for this year, they will have a clear green light to scale as fast as they can. So Tesla isn't really using P-type or N-type cells, they're using a proprietary build. And so Tesla's breakthrough with the new solar panel is not necessarily hitting the max efficiency per module, but rather it's in how unique the layout is and how it handles all of the shading. And there are more differences than this, but at a simple level, P-type cells, the older type, use boron, and N-type cells, the new ones, use phosphorus. And again, over time, Tesla will no longer be relying on suppliers for solar cells. They plan to make everything in-house, vertically integrated. And the new panel mount will be 33% faster installation using a groove-based frame system for streamlined assembly, which eliminates traditional rails and clamps. Up to 15% fewer roof penetrations while preserving structural integrity and lowering costs, and a low-profile finish that's universally compatible with shingle, tile, metal, and flat roofs. Now, it is unfortunate that for 2026, the 30% residential tax credit is no longer available, but as we talked about, the manufacturing tax credits for solar are indeed still available. And Tesla has a new job posting, Staff Manufacturing Development Engineer for solar. You will help deploy 100 gigawatts of solar manufacturing from raw materials on American soil before the end of 2028. Given that Giga New York is scaling to 300 megawatts by the end of this year, I will not be surprised if we get an announcement this year about another solar factory for Tesla. Because if they're going to hit 100 gigawatts in the next 2 years after this year, they're definitely going to need to do more than they're doing now.
A year ago, I'd never owned a Tesla. And I was so blown away with FSD that in the last week, we bought 2 more Model X's. So now everyone in my family, we're all on Tesla because the experience is so good. But they're shutting down the Model S, Model X lines to make Optimus. So if you've got the same thing that JCal's talking about and experiencing, but you've actually got it in physical form in addition to digital form, that's the future where everyone has a super workforce and you put 2 Optimus in your garage and they build and run a business for you. And then everyone becomes an entrepreneur.
So the fact that Friedberg, somebody pretty well educated on technology, is just now coming to see the light on FSD should tell us all how early we still really are outside of the Tesla bubble. The unofficial robotaxi tracker now has 81 vehicles in Austin and 188 in the Bay Area.
And I can actually see if I can set this to Mad Max. First time look. Mad Max. Notes. No.
Now, that ability to change the speed profile for robotaxi could be gone as I speak right now. But if Tesla's going to continue on with speed profiles, I think it would make sense to allow the customer to choose the one they prefer. And further in the UI, there's no state of charge for the battery. The cameras no longer come on when a turn signal is turned on. Of course, for the passenger, that's just information that they don't need to have. So Tesla's continuing to refine the in-car UI for robotaxi. Many of you will remember the court case that was challenging over 4 years of compensation for Tesla executives. In that settlement, Tesla executives actually had to give back some of that compensation in the form of options and cash. But over the weekend, Delaware's top court cut more than $100 million from the fee that Tesla was going to have to pay. The justices set the fee award at $70.9 million while also upholding the lower court's approval of the settlement. As we measure it, $71 million reflects a reasonable fee for counsel's efforts and does not result in a windfall. So instead of Tesla having to pay $171 million, it'll only have to pay $71 million. It's the one where Tesla's board had to return stock and options valued up to $735 million and forego 3 years of pay worth $184 million. So it'll be good to bring a close to this one, but Tesla did say during an oral argument that a roughly $70 million fee award would have been appropriate. Tesla has just been approved for an autonomous driving trial in Israel. Unfortunately, I could not find anything about the size of the testing fleet or expected timelines. So for now, all we get outside of a bunch of corporate speak is that Tesla can begin testing FSD at some scale in Israel. Tesla superchargers will now be installed at Copec filling stations at intervals of 200 kilometers. Each location will feature 4 charging points with a capacity of up to 250 kilowatts, powered by renewable energy from Copec Emoac. While not explicitly confirmed, these are likely superchargers from the white label program for third-party customers, which means the supercharger stalls will have Copec's design rather than Tesla's branding. Further, Copec and Tesla have stated their intention to create an open and interoperable network to support the adoption of EVs in Chile. Tesla is set to open its first location in Morocco on February 6th, marking the company's latest expansion into African markets. After an 80% surge last year, passenger EV sales are projected to grow 36% this year to over 7,200 units in Morocco. Elon said Faraday was almost the name of Tesla if we couldn't buy the Tesla Motors trademark. There was a bunch of reporting over the weekend that Ford was talking with Xiaomi over an EV partnership for a factory in the US. But for now, Ford has come out and said that's completely false. And today, Waymo said they just raised $16 billion, valuing the company at $126 billion post-money. Waymo said this infusion of capital will ensure we're positioned to move forward with unprecedented velocity while maintaining our industry-leading safety. Our focus is now on global scale, bringing the safety and magic of the Waymo driver to even more cities this year across the US and internationally. We're laying the groundwork for ride-hailing operations in over 20 additional cities in 2026, including Tokyo and London. And today, they have more than 400,000 rides provided every week across 6 major US metropolitan areas. Apologies for the truncated back half of the video, but it's always tough to know how to handle things when you have breaking news into the evening, as I'm sure everybody and their brother will be putting videos out on the topic. But Tesla stock closed the day at $421.81, down 2%, while the NDX was up 0.73%. The volume was 13% below the average. Again, much more to unpack in the weeks ahead, but I personally still need time to sit with this and research and look into it and consider all of the implications. But I'm pretty confident for the next 3 to 5 years and beyond, that's going to be the prevailing sentiment. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.